There were pyrotechnics and music for Netanyahu when he took to the stage at a Likud party event in the wee hours to claim victory.
I am very moved that the nation of Israel has once again given its trust to me, and done so for the 5th time. They have again given their trust to us and to me. It's unprecedented. When did we ever get so many seats? I don't remember.
A 5th term would make Netanyahu Israel's longest-serving prime minister, even surpassing the founding father of the Jewish state, David Ben-Gurion. Earlier, after voting ended, exit polls appeared to indicate a neck-and-neck race between Netanyahu and his closest rival, Benny Gantz, of the centrist Blue and White Alliance. Indeed, around the time Netanyahu made his victory speech, Gantz was saying the same to his supporters.
In elections there are losers, in elections there are winners, and we are the winners.
But that optimism may have turned out to be premature. As the night went on and vote counts came in, it remained a close-run thing.
Now for the latest on the Israeli election, we're joined by Dalia Scheindlin, a public opinion expert and political analyst. She joins us from Tel Aviv. Dalia, the election has produced a virtual tie between the parties of Benjamin Netanyahu and Benny Gantz. They may end up with the same number of seats in parliament, and both are claiming victory. Is it clear who will get to lead the next government?
It is absolutely not clear, although it looks like it should be easier for the prime minister to form the next government, mainly because the bloc of parties that identify with right-wing politics is significantly bigger than the bloc of what used to be opposition parties. We don't know exactly, but may well still be opposition parties, which is center, left, and the Arab parties. That bloc of right-wing parties seems to have won so far 65 seats out of 120, which is a clear majority. However, it is not clear because, there's always a possibility that we heard a little bit more yesterday, first of all, of a national unity government. Secondly, I guess there's a possibility of surprise in the other direction, but it doesn't look that likely because Likud, Netanyahu's party, did appear to get just slightly more votes. The current tally, after counting 97% of the votes, is 26.27% compared to 25.94%. for the Blue and White Party. So it looks like they definitely are in a stronger position, Likud, to form the next government.
If Netanyahu does come out on top, he won't have an easy time of it. He's facing corruption allegations, a probable indictment. What can we expect from his 5th term as prime minister?
Well, it's a little bit hard to know. There is still so much up in the air. I mean, yes, with relation to the indictment, the Attorney General has said that he will indict Netanyahu pending a hearing. We don't know when that hearing will take place, nor what will happen if he is, in fact, indicted afterwards. By Israeli law, he is not obliged to resign if he's prime minister. That the obligation to resign under indictment only holds for a minister in the government, not for the prime minister. So we don't know if the parties that go into coalition with him will all agree, which is something that he would like. He would like them to agree not to bolt the coalition if he is indicted, but that very much depends on the coalition bargaining. Therefore, we don't really know if he will continue to be prime minister for a full 4-year term. In general, 4-year terms are unlikely in Israel, and it does seem like there's a possibility that he would go earlier, but it's simply a little bit too unpredictable to tell.
Dalia, what does this election result tell us about the direction that Israel is headed, particularly in relation to the Palestinians and the search for peace in the Middle East?
Well, I must tell you that the way Israel breaks down in terms of how people identify right, left, and center is largely around the issue of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the issue of security. And the fact that, more Israelis identify as right-wing by a majority, a small but significant majority of voters of voting age, that is clearly reflected in these election results. So that's why we see this 65-seat breakdown for the right wing. And what right wing means in Israel is that security comes before anything else, first of all. But it also, in recent years, has come to mean opposing a two-state solution quite openly. And all the right-wing parties, with the exception of Likud, because Likud does not have a platform, but all the right-wing parties have essentially stated their opposition to a two-state solution in various forms, either by proposing different kinds of partial annexation or even complete annexation, depending on how far right they are. And Likud has not published a platform, but on the ground, they have been implementing a sort of de facto creeping annexation of parts of the West Bank over recent years. Of course, Prime Minister Netanyahu, in the few days before the elections, indicated an intention to move ahead with annexing settlements. You know, there's a lot of speculation about whether that will continue, but it definitely doesn't look like Israel is headed in the direction of a classic two-state solution. It's not even clear whether that solution is possible anymore.
Dalia, thank you so much. That was Dalia Scheindlin, their political analyst in Tel Aviv.